I want to quit talking for a while, and I want to ask you, what would you do if you were Geiges? If you were to stumble upon a cave and you were to discover that there is a ring, and you furthermore discovered that this ring would make you all powerful, what would you do? And before you answer, while you're collecting your thoughts on this, I want to tell you something. The first time I told this story was probably about 1992. I was asked to go to Michigan State University to one of those lecture halls that holds 400 people. And, I had the option that the professor, I worked for the Michigan governor at that time. The professor said, you can either give a political science lecture or you can do something else. And I don't want to give a lecture to 400 people. So that's why I went back through my notes, thought of this story of the Ring of Geiges, and I decided to tell this story to see what would happen. So I opened up the same way I'd set up, had the same setup as I just had with you. And I asked 400 students who happened to be freshmen, what would you do if you had the Ring of Geiges? And I got some very interesting answers. And people really opened up, and I thought were intellectually and morally honest. Now that you're having some time to collect your thoughts, I'm curious, what do you think you would do if you knew about the power of the ring and you possessed it?
The obvious moral thing to say is you would never take it, but I try to put myself in the situation that he would be in. You think of him, it's a long time ago, but he's the type of guy that's like a lower middle class type of person. And you think of these people that see, the easy way out of things, and he sees that just by doing this one little thing, maybe he can transcend everything else and move up in an instant like that. And you put yourself in that situation. You can't say that you wouldn't even think about it because, it's a possibility.
You're talking about temptation. How many of you agree with Dan's basic premise? Every one of us would be tempted. Anybody in here disagree and think you would not be tempted? Show of hands. Nobody? Not one of you?
Well, back then or now?
Alec?
Your agent says, don't take something that's not yours. Plus, it's not important. But if you're like a lowly person, you don't have that much, the initial thing would be, well, nobody knows about it, all right, I can take this ring, I can sell it off, get it, do a little bit better, and then you find out you have this cool trade, and you're going to be tempted keeping it.
Okay, yeah.
So, I don't know, it's kind of like both sides.
Okay, the temptation to keep it. Yes, Petra.
Well, since he didn't know, that the ring had power from the beginning, and, personally told me, I'm not a big fan of rumors, This is, my first year for these, I'm saying on them. If it was me, and I didn't know it had power, I might be tempted at first, but I chose to don't take it. First of all, it's a dead person, and, it's just okay.
Okay, Allie? Or I'm sorry, Sandy. That's a good question for Plato. I don't know, that's just the story. Petra, let me ask you this. If you had known about the power, would that change your...
I think it would.
Yeah, okay.
I would take it at that
Yeah,
point.
okay. If you did know, you would take it. What about some of the rest of you? As you're gathering your thoughts, I can tell you what some of the kids at Michigan State said, these freshmen. There's one guy said, well, we have the best basketball team. I want to make sure, so I would get to Breslin Arena, and I would sit right there on the sidelines, and I would be able to enjoy the game, and maybe if things were going badly, I could jump in there on the court, make the ball bounce. This guy had this elaborate scenario. Other guys would go to Spartan Stadium, and enjoy the football games without having to, a player go up and make the ball fall down every time, and the opposing team. They had these elaborate scenarios. Now that made everybody chuckle. But as people revealed more and more, it got more and more serious and interesting. It got to the point where, you'd be tempted. You would take it. You would succumb. What'd you do? Yes, Danielle?
I could see myself taking it for a little bit and then saying, this is
Okay, now you say something very interesting. Danielle says that she thinks after she saw the power, she would put it back. Now, Danielle, here's where I'm going to make true confessions. I think I am so weak. I would be so tempted. I think once I started to see the power, I would be seduced into going farther and farther with it. And every step.
I think I'd go, and then I'd be too scared that I was going too far and then put it back because I wouldn't want to go too far.
But are you strong enough? This is the question Plato is asking. Are you strong enough?
Well, you never know until you actually come to that thing. You can say in theory what you would or would not, but you never know until you get to that situation what exactly will happen.
Okay. Nam, did you have something to add to that?
Sure. Well, initially, this is honest. I think it's kind of cool because, if I propose with that ring, it'll be a very funny situation. But when I think about it more, I'll be kind of scared if I even hold on to it or not even tie it.
Yes.
Because if it falls to any person, I would say any person that would take it, that's
Yes.
a little crazy in the world.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think you're right. Yes.
Sort of going into just being invisible, being able to use the power and everything, you might not want to be around for some of the things because you just might not want to know what people think if they're talking about you. You'd want to be like, oh, I wonder what they think of me, but then you might not want to know. So it might just eventually you would just want to be invisible all the time.
Now,
I think that it would be,
yes.
that would be just the way that you stayed.
A lot of people, and just the way it has always worked out in these exercises, more women than men have made that observation. They want to know what other people are saying about them that they wouldn't have access to. Now, Sarah, keep your hand. I'll get to you. But Sarah, I have a question for you. Say you're listening and you hear some good things and it really pleases you. Now you know you can trust the person. But what if you're listening and you hear really bad things, like the beginning of bad stuff? Would you be tempted to pay them back because you now have the power and they would never know whence the retribution came? There's Petra just doing the What do you think?
I think it would be something tempting, but I don't think personally that I would. So maybe they were just, it might not be, maybe it's what they thought that day because I had done something that had made them mad, so they were just sort of venting about it, but they were really, you can still have true friends and have a fight with them, or, say something that you really didn't mean later on. So I don't think that I would just make a snap decision, just be like, I'm going to get them back for what they said.
Okay, you're better than I am. I'd get them back. Okay, we had some hands up over here. Yes, please, Danny.
I think I would definitely take the ring because one thing, it would make a funny party trick, I think. I think the part that bothered me the most about the story is the fact that he left his wife. I wouldn't be able to do that for the queen. I don't care how much power the person has, how attractive they are. If you're married to someone, wouldn't you have a little bit of problems leaving them?
Presumably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the part of the story that rubbed me wrong morally.
Okay.
More than stealing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Deb.
Right. I was gonna say, for me, I would be contemplating whether or not it was right or wrong. But if I took it and kind of got into the power, I would think that the guilt would kind of pile on to itself, and I don't think I'd be able to keep it, because he kept, he went from being a thief to an adulterer to a murderer. I don't think that I would be, even if other people didn't know it, I would know it. So I think that would be too much for me to wake up and, be happy with the choices I made. So I'd have to, I don't know, I'd probably burn it or something.
Okay.
So no one else got it.
Okay.